Breaking news today. New sanctions against Russia have been approved by the European Union. To prevent Russia from finding ways around the sanctions that were originally imposed, the European Union yesterday approved the 11th package of sanctions related to Russia's war in Ukraine. While Western allies of Kiev have promised increased aid for the war-torn Ukrainian economy, they have also warned Russia that it will have to pay the costs of reconstruction. Sweden, which is currently serving as EU president, detailed the approval of the new measures against Russia at a meeting of EU ambassadors in Brussels. 3 Hong Kong-based companies have been added to a list of companies whose exports of sensitive technologies are restricted by the European Union as part of the new sanctions package, according to a document seen by AFP. However, a diplomatic source claims that Beijing pressured Brussels into dropping 5 mainland Chinese companies from the original proposal. Since Russian President Vladimir Putin began the war in Ukraine in February, the European Union, which consists of 27 countries, has imposed unprecedented sanctions on Moscow. The European Union is close to exhausting the range of broad measures that can win the support of all EU member states, diplomats have conceded. Brussels is now focusing on closing any gaps in the sanctions. The European Union wants to stop sensitive military technology, like microchips, from being re-exported to Russia through third countries. The European Union has blacklisted an additional 71 individuals and 33 organizations for their roles in the illegal export of Ukrainian children to Russia as part of the most recent package. Russian officers, Wagner armed group members, and others involved in the mobilization of Russian forces are among these people. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak launched a framework for wartime insurance in London yesterday in an effort to encourage private investment following pledges of billions of dollars in additional aid from Britain, the United States, and the European Union for the reconstruction of Ukraine. Despite his gratitude for the aid, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made it clear that his government in Kiev needs firm promises to implement projects to help the country recover and grow into a powerful member of the Western world. Despite warning Russia that it would have to pay for reconstruction in the long run, Western allies of Kiev promised yesterday to increase financial aid to Ukraine's economy, which has been devastated by more than a year of war. In order to rebuild infrastructure, remove mines, relaunch the economy, and finance public services, leaders and representatives from over 60 countries are attending a conference dedicated to the reconstruction of Ukraine. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko said in a video address, "We must move from a vision to agreements, and from agreements to concrete projects." He continued, saying, "Every day of the Russian aggression causes new ruins, thousands of homes destroyed, industries destroyed, and lives burned." According to a recent report commissioned by the Ukrainian government, the World Bank, the United Nations, the European Union, and the EU, the cost to rebuild the economy is $411 billion. An amount that is only going up as long as the fighting does. State Department official Anthony Blinken remarked, "Let's be clear. Russia is responsible for the destruction in Ukraine, and it will be responsible for the cost of rebuilding Ukraine." Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, countered that the aggressor must be punished. "It is obvious that Russia must pay for the damage it has done," British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak said. "As a result, we are consulting with our allies on possible legal means of exploiting Russian resources." In response, Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said, "First of all, Russia must pay for what it destroyed." He urged the release of Russian assets frozen as a result of the sanctions so that they could be used to fund reconstruction. With a focus on energy and infrastructure, the United States has pledged $1.3 billion in new economic aid to Ukraine. London also approved $3 billion in World Bank credit guarantees to fund Ukrainian public services over a 3-year period. Paris received €40 million in 2023 for essential reconstruction and medical equipment, and Berlin released €381 million in humanitarian aid. The Russian Ministry of Defense claims that yesterday, in response to what it believes was an attempted attack by the Ukrainian military, Russian air defenses shot down 3 drones over the Moscow area. Air defenses lost control of the drones through electronic jamming, the ministry added, resulting in harmless crashes that caused no casualties or property damage. Sergei Shoigu, Russia's Minister of Defense, told recent military academy grads yesterday that the entire Western Hemisphere is at war with Russia. He was standing next to Russian President Vladimir Putin at a Kremlin event when he made the statement that the Russian military would stop at nothing to protect the country. Ukrainian forces are making progress toward Melitopol and Berdyansk in the Zaporizhia region, according to Andrei Kovalev, spokesman for the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. They've had some success. Kovalev was quoted as saying, "They are gaining territory," in an online post.